Hi. So, I don't have anyone online yet, which is okay. We're hanging out at the table, coloring, crafting papers, doing our thing. So instead of sitting here doing nothing, I thought that I would maybe talk to you guys for a few minutes about nouns. Careful, Abby, don't knock it over. Okay. So nouns basically have two jobs. They are either the subject of the verb or the object of the verb. The subject basically means that they are, yeah, don't mess up the tape, baby. The subject means most of the time they're doing the verb. So if the verb is buy, they are the person buying. There are a few exceptions in the passive voice and a few others, but for the most part, the subject is the person or thing doing the verb. The other things that nouns do is they are objects, and sometimes they're the object of the verb. We'll talk about two ways of doing that, and sometimes they are the object of something called a preposition. We'll talk about that too. So I have a sentence here. Grandma gave Abby a car for her birthday. Okay, so I have four nouns in this sentence. The first one is grandma. Grandma is the subject of the sentence, okay, both grammatically and logically, because grandma gave. Okay, grandma gave. What did actually grandma give? She gave a car. Lucky Abby. So that is what's called the direct object. Yes, well, she's not really giving you a car, Abby. I hate to break it to you. This is just an example. The person she gave the car to is the indirect object, Abby. So we have subject, indirect object, and object. Okay? The other noun in this sentence is birthday. Okay? So birthday here is the object of the preposition. For is the object, it is the preposition here.
Can you tell the guys I'm 4.5?
Yes, you want to tell them you're 4.5? Go ahead.
And I'm 4.5.
She's 4.5. So for is the preposition, and every preposition needs an object, and birthday is the object of the preposition. Objects of the prepositional phrases are what these are called, and they actually serve usually as adverbs. In this case, it tells us why she gave Abby a car. Okay, so grandma gave Abby a car for her birthday. For her birthday actually tells us why the car was given. Speaking of cars, that is Lily playing with the car on the side. So that is my mini lesson about nouns. Okay, so nouns are person, places, or things, and they are either subjects or they are objects. Now let's talk about the one time it is a little bit backwards, and that is what's called the passive voice. So if I change our sentence a little bit, okay. So in this sentence, by the way, who's ever here, like, say hi so I know who I'm talking to. Abby was given a car by grandma. Hey, yo, bring me my phone, Lily. Abby was given a car by grandma. Abby is now, because this is passive, she is the subject of the sentence, but she's actually the receiver of the action. She's the indirect object. The car still remains the direct object, and then we have to have this by grandma phrase to tell us who's actually doing the given. You can also take that off entirely. You can just say Abby was given a car. In English, we definitely prefer the active voice, which means the subject of the sentence is the noun that is doing the verb.
I'm in Spanish school.
And Abby goes to Spanish school, that's true. But very occasionally, it is best to use the passive. Sometimes you don't know who did it. So if you say the window was broken and you don't know who broke the window, then you need to use the passive, right? You can't say, well, you could say somebody broke the window. That's the best thing you can do in active. But sometimes the person who received it is more important than the person who sent it. So if you said, who got the car, you can say, Abby was given the car. And then it makes sense to use the passive. But for the most part in English, we prefer the active. So We have about 5 minutes to go. I'm wondering if the person who is watching me has questions on their assignment. I want to make sure that if you are an 11th grader or a 12th grader who did not take the ACT last year, I sent you a really important message. It has to do with the ACT accommodations. So I can grant you an accommodation for the ACT. So I can say you need either time and a half or twice as long to take the ACT. And that's very valuable because the ACT reading, for example, is 35 minutes long, but it's 4 long passages and 40 questions. It's really, really hard for anybody to do. It's especially hard if you're still learning English. So I can either grant you time and a half, which means you get, I think, 53 minutes, or I can grant you double time, which means you get an hour and 10 minutes, and that's for each part of the ACT. But I cannot give that to you unless the form that I sent you comes back to me signed. If you are one of my seniors who is taking the ACT and you are 18, you may sign the form yourself. If you are not 18, you have to have your parents sign it. So that is really, really important that it comes back this week. If you could send it back today, that would be great. You just need your parents to sign it on Notability and then send it back to me. And that way we can get it turned in to the people who need it, and we have your form protected, okay, that you are able to receive it. I'm just checking. Okay, it doesn't look like I have any additional questions on Schoology. 9th and 10th grade, I posted a new assignment that is very similar to yesterday's assignment. It's a fill-in-the-blank multiple choice practice with the correct form of different forms of the vocab words for list 2. For my juniors, your assignment today has to do with investigating some of the books that you may have for your independent book unit. You're not committing to anything, but just so you see the options. But just so you know, we are going to work on Old Man and the Sea in class, okay? So it's independent reading, but I'm actually going to give you a choice to either truly independently read and be part of an online community, or you can form a book group in the class and you'll divide and conquer responsibilities for comprehension. That will be entirely your choice, both the book and the form of doing it. Do you want me to show them? This is Abigail's artwork. This is the Little Mermaid, Ariel, and she is splashing out of the water. That is beautiful. Good job.
She's under the water.
She's under the water. She's under the water. So you're not committing to anything, but go through that Nearpod, explore them all, but know that I'm going to be the one who is teaching both the online community and in class Old Man and the Sea.
I dropped it again.
Dropped it again. Okay, tell him.
I dropped it again.
Oh my goodness gracious. For my ELD classes, there are a lot of you when you are writing, both some of my kids who are newer to English and both some of my kids who have been only going to school in English for a very, very long time. I still see a lot of trouble with sentence fragments and with sentence run-ons.
Mom, I want to show you something.
Yes, oh, beautiful. So a sentence fragment is either missing the subject or the verb, right? So if I say, went to the store, it's something we say all the time in conversation, but when you're writing, went to the store is what's called a fragment because it's missing the subject, okay? Abby did is actually a sentence. It's 2 words, but it is a full sentence. A run-on is when you have multiple independent clauses and you haven't done anything to connect them, right? So maybe you've used a comma, but that doesn't count, right? So if I say, we jumped, we ran, we played games. That, if I write it with commas, we jumped, comma, we ran, comma, we played games, period, that is actually a run-on. So you have 3 independent clauses, we jumped, we ran, we played games, and they are only connected with commas. To make it a full sentence, you either need to use periods or you need to use the word and. We jumped, comma, we ran, comma, and we played games. Okay, so those are your choices to change run-ons to full sentences. And then fragments, you either need to add a subject or a verb, or you need to add it to another sentence, because that often happens. So I might say, I went to the store, period, for milk. But the for milk is actually the object of the previous sentence, so you just need to take away that end punctuation and say, I went to the store for milk. Well, I've been online now for 10 minutes, and whoever it is that's there isn't talking to me, so I don't know who you are. But I hope I've answered any questions that you have. I will do one more online session today at 1:30, so maybe I will see you then. Hold on.